Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jono Choi and I'm the leadership coach. In my channel, I share the frameworks and strategies to help you lead yourselves and your teams to victory. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to maximize your rate as a freelance consultant. In short, the answer is to work with apprenticeships, jobs that maximize your development opportunities and provide mentorship, and also focusing on your T-shape, which is your broad-based skills and your specialized skills as well. My answer is to not focus on money at the start of your career, but by focusing on these apprenticeships and getting as much responsibility as you can and getting the right mentorship, you'll be setting yourself up with a specialized set of skills where you can charge this sort of rate. Feel free to use the timestamps, but the topics we're covering today are apprenticeships, extreme ownership, the T-shape framework, coaching, and consulting skills. So before we get started, a quick disclaimer. With 5 years of experience, it's probably going to be hard earning $300 an hour, 8 hours a day for 5 days a week. That'll probably take you maybe 10 to 15 years. But with the trends I'm seeing and from my own practical experience, earning $300 an hour is possible for short and sharp windows of work. From my experience, companies are hiring consultants to solve tough problems in these short windows of work, since it's more cost effective than hiring someone full-time to solve it. In addition to this, Naval Ravikant, a famous angel investor from Silicon Valley, has also shared this thought leadership. Naval postulates that in the near future, people are going to be able to wake up and on their mobile, there'll be a number of projects that they can take, and then they'll hit that project, complete it in their own time schedule, and then once that's done, they'll be paid to their account. So if you want to maximize your rate, let's get into the frameworks and discuss how you can set yourself up. So the first framework is apprenticeships, and apprenticeships is from Robert Greene's book, Mastery. Basically, the concept of apprenticeships is to choose jobs that maximize your learning and development opportunities. And these jobs should be giving you an end-to-end understanding of a process and give you practical experience, hands-on experience doing these processes end-to-end. And also, apprenticeships should provide you with a master, someone who has maybe 10, 15, 20 or more years experience in this field. Robert Greene's book also breaks down apprenticeships into three main facets. And the first facet is deep observation, which is watching a master and how they do the job. The second facet is having the technical expertise and experience, which is hands-on practice and training. And the third facet is experimentation, where you're able to practice the skills and training that you've learned into an actual environment and get the right mentorship and coaching to adjust whatever you're doing wrong or whatever you could improve on as well. So in terms of finding the right environment where you can get an apprenticeship, I think maybe some of the pitfalls that we should avoid first is going for contracts or work where it pays a bit higher, but the responsibilities are really narrow. So it's doing a very particular task, such as doing some data entry on a spreadsheet. And also other things we need to avoid are where the manager or the person submitting this contract wants nothing to do with us and we just do the work. So there's no coaching, there's no mentorship or management for the work that we are doing. So my experience of apprenticeship started when I left university. When I left uni, I knew that I didn't want to work for a big four firm or another company where my responsibilities would be quite narrow. But instead, I knew that I wanted to work for a startup or some sort of organization where the responsibilities would be quite broad and I could learn an end-to-end process. And I wanted to work in a team culture where a lot of ideas were encouraged from all the way from the bottom to the CEO level. And I wanted to work for masters of a particular field. So people who were really good at what they did. As a result, I joined a digital startup where I was staff number 35 or so, and I had a lot of broad responsibilities with that particular business unit that I was working in. And from gaining different responsibility and testing different roles as well, I could see that the common thread that bound all of these together was leadership. From day one, I really enjoyed leadership and making teams work together, but this isn't something that I knew when I came out of university. This was something that I could only discover by going through an apprenticeship and trying many different things, and also getting the appropriate feedback from my mentor and my managers inside the company. I can personally vouch that working in an apprenticeship isn't that easy. Working in a startup meant that I was taking a significant pay cut compared to some of my friends who are going into corporate, Big Four, and other jobs. So you need to stick to your conviction that by taking this apprenticeship and learning more about the technical process and getting much more responsibility than the rest of your peers, that it will be paying off in the longer term. My other example of taking apprenticeships is leaving my training and development role last year and going into consulting. I'm in my later 20s now, and some people would see that as a big risk to be leaving your job, first of all, with no security, but also jumping industries and having to start from the bottom again. But it's my conviction to be a leadership strategist and to be the best one that I can be. And as a result, that means that I can't be boxing myself just to training and development, but I need to be exploring the broader skills and more complex problem solving, which meant that I had to go into change management, which is why I left my role and started a new apprenticeship in consulting and change. So my consulting job is quite similar to the startup job that I had. It's also a small team. We're a team of around 22 people right now. And my directors and my principal, the person who founded the firm, have had 10 to 25 years of experience in consulting and change. So far, I've really enjoyed my first year in my apprenticeship. There has been a lot of observation and just seeing how my directors do their jobs, how they operate in their field. And as a result, I'm able to reconcile what my perception was of being a consultant versus what they actually do on the job. And that gives me a lot of small details and observations which I'm able to apply to my own skill set and to my own practice on the job. So the second framework is extreme ownership. And this is created and popularized by a Navy SEAL called Jocko Willink. Extreme ownership is essentially a mindset which says that you should own everything in your world, work, and life. Extreme ownership really helped me navigate the waters of startup. In a startup or an apprenticeship, you have a much broader range of responsibilities, and this means that you can't be passing things off or blaming people when you don't get the results that you're supposed to. What I really love about extreme ownership is that it switches you from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Instead of saying, this isn't part of my job or my role description, extreme ownership gets you asking, what else can I learn to be better at my particular craft? With my particular range of responsibilities, is there anything else I can learn about? So in the company, are there other teams where I can be learning from how they do their job? So in turn, I can improve how I do my job to help them. A quick story of extreme ownership in my experience is that in the startup that I was working at, there was a particular team member in another department which didn't believe that they should have been managing their responsibilities, and they wanted to push it onto us. Now, everyone else was obviously quite defensive with not wanting to do that work. And at first I was as well. But then after reading Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, I realized that this was a learning opportunity. In most instances, I wouldn't be able to learn how to do this particular process, but now I had the opportunity to step up, learn this process, and empower my team who I was managing with this process as well. And in turn, this made us even more elite problem solvers, since we weren't just confined to one particular aspect of solving a problem in the business, but now we had multiple lenses to view the problem through, and we had more processes to diagnose when problems came up as well. This also improved our social capital in the firm. And what I mean by this is that we got more respect from other teams who were within our division, and also gave us opportunities to train others and empower them in the same way that we did. So the third framework is the T-shaped framework. And this one is particularly important if you want to become a specialized consultant later on who can charge a more attractive rate. Now, the T-shaped framework comes from the tech industry, and the basis of it is that you have the vertical part of the T, which is deep specialized skills, and then you have the horizontal part of the T, which is broad-based skills. Skills where you have less experience than your vertical part, your deep specializations, but where you have enough experience where it's a working understanding of how something works and how it applies to your deep specialized skills. The T-shaped framework is also used by Google in their hiring process. Google understands that they don't want people who are just deeply specialized and don't really know much else. Because essentially, people with just deep specialized skills and no broad understanding are a bit like robots, in the sense that they have a very set infrastructure or framework of thinking, but outside of that, they don't really understand how to solve problems which they haven't seen before. So why does the T-shape matter to you? And we'll use my T-shape quickly as an example so I can paint a picture for some of the skills that you might learn on the way in your apprenticeship or your career. And when you're questioning, why am I doing this, or why am I learning this, and how might it help? So following on from what I shared about Google's hiring process and using the T-shape, Google believes that people with a T-shape are more well-rounded problem solvers. So not only do you have your deep specializations, but you have your broad-based skills as well. So looking at my T-shape now, we can see that I'm really passionate and I'm deeply specialized in training, leadership, change management, and strategy. But I also have all these other random bits of experience, such as UX, SEO, customer service, and sales. Now, these bits of experience are things that I got before I started my career as well. So when I was working in university, just odd jobs here and there. And when I was entering the workforce, I didn't know how these bits of experience would apply. Now, I think a similar logic applies here when you're going through your actual careers and your apprenticeships as well. There might be parts of the job which you're not as keen on. For example, answering customer queries or doing customer service. And let's say you're really passionate about design or doing visual graphics. Now, most people think that doing visual design or graphic design doesn't require good customer service skills, or working in customer service rather, isn't relevant. But my challenge to that would be, if you want to be a good graphic designer, that it requires interacting with people to get the best result. You need to interact with people to understand what they're asking for in a brief, and you need to be able to empathize with them as well. And building that rapport definitely helps you reach a good solution. So from this example here, we can see that something seemingly unrelated, such as customer service, can really be powerful and separate you from the rest of the pack if you're working in an unrelated industry like visual design. So the fourth framework is finding a coach or a mentor. And my recommendation is to find a coach or a mentor who is in your field, obviously, but outside of your organization. So this means that you can really trust them and that you know whatever advice and recommendations they're giving, that they're not biased by perhaps the targets or performance of your organization. The value of a coach and a mentor is that they've been around the track, so to speak, of your particular job already. So they've done whatever you're doing many times over, and they know the key pitfalls and mistakes and maybe things that you need to look out for when you're navigating your career. A coach and a mentor provides a sounding board as well. There are going to be some difficult situations and decisions you need to make in your career. And by having this sounding board, you're able to approach your coach and explain what's going on. And perhaps they're able to counsel you by asking the right questions and getting you thinking about what's going on through a different lens and a different perspective. So obviously I wouldn't be doing my job unless I plugged my own channel and my services. I do have a Patreon running now, and the first tier, the introductory tier, is open and it's limited to 50 spots. These 50 spots will have access to monthly coaching and Q&A. So I'll be hosting around 2 sessions, an hour each, for these 50 members. And I'll be answering whatever questions you have about your career, development, and leadership as well as providing my overall guidance and coaching for where your individual careers are at as well. So whether you want advice on your current job or whether you want to make a career leap to a different industry, I would love to advise on that through Patreon. So hit the Patreon link in the video description below. And if you want to sign up, that'll be great. And I look forward to engaging with you soon. The fifth and final framework is consulting skills. Now, I really emphasize consulting skills because if you want to charge a higher and more lucrative rate, you need to be better with your clients. And this means that you need to have better client engagement skills, which is talking to your client, understanding their needs. You need to have stronger strategic thinking as well, which is being able to listen and hear what's going on, understand the problem, and therefore provide a better solution as well. So the books and frameworks that I would recommend to start your consulting journey and develop your consulting mindset are The McKinsey Way, the Boston Consulting Group on strategy, and Flawless Consulting by Peter Block. Consulting frameworks that I would recommend getting started with are maximise and SCQA. Maximise really allows you to understand a problem and break it into separate parts so you can figure out what the root cause of a problem is. And SCQA is particularly effective because it allows you to frame a problem properly and in a structured manner that it makes sense when you're explaining it to other people. In an online environment where there are many consultants or freelancers bidding for the same work, having the right consulting skill set will be the separator between you and the others. If all of you have the same technical skills and you can produce the same type of result, having consulting skills will allow you to build rapport with your client that much better and engage with them more effectively than your competition, which will give you a competitive advantage. So in summary, if you'd like to be charging a higher rate in the near future, what you need to do today is to find an apprenticeship or an organization which allows you to have a role with a wide range of responsibilities. In addition to this, it should be an environment where you're able to engage with other parts of the business openly, where information is shared in a friendly way, and you're able to also get mentorship and coaching from masters in the field, people with 10, 15, or 20 years experience. These should be masters who are willing to give you constructive criticism and give you guidance on your journey when you are going through training and learning how the work is done, and you're gaining technical expertise and also evolving your mindset. So I wish you luck on whatever apprenticeship that you're undertaking. If you have questions about what apprenticeship you should take, which industry you should be in, or about consulting skills, or even about your own T-shape, please drop me a comment below. If this video helped you today, I'd really appreciate a like, subscribe, and please hit the bell. Feel free to follow me on Instagram as well. Follow The Lead Coach on Instagram, where I share bonus leadership frameworks every day, and I also talk about the books that I'm currently reading. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.